okay. It's okay. Okay.
Repeat. I want this ancient tower as part of my collection. Glyph of the Infinite. A veil of safety and security. Struggle or strangle. Struggle or strangle. A riveting battle.
This is what we lost.
A contest for the ages. A contest for the ages. Dissect it. Smear it across the ground. Such a dark glow.
This will never be over. I will unify humanity.
The prize piece comes to join.
Pain will be returned tenfold. Space aligns. Behold,
I will have what I want. This cannot be a mistake. Scurry, scurry. Why?
resistance will be punished. Time contorts. Scurry, scurry.
Reputation is growing. This will not be a mistake. Scurry.
It's okay.
Hello everybody! So today's video is going to be on my Spark Aurastacker character that I have been playing for the past few days. We've been using it to clear Sanctums, we've been using it to clear Uber bosses, things like that on stream. We are now, I don't think we are top DPS on the PoE Ninja leaderboards, but you know, we were there for a while. It's fun to just check in on it every so often. They are all using Spark with slower projectiles in their gloves, things like that. Phantasmal Vow Smite to cheat out some DPS. But you know, we are the real deal. You know, we are hitting about 100 plus million damage per spark, and our projectiles move super fast. They do a lot of damage, as you can see from all the clips earlier on. So this is the real deal, man. First and foremost, this is not my build. This build was made by my friend Dreamy. He's the one who came up with the POB, the gearing, and all that good stuff. So props to him. He's the one who came up with this. Okay, I think the main thing that separates this from normal Spark characters is, as you can see, pretty low HP. So if you're looking for a tanky build, please turn away. This is not it. But if you want to do hundreds or millions of DPS and one-shot everything in the game, then this is the build for you. Okay, second thing is, this is not a cheap build. The literal requirements, at least for this version, is a Mage Blood because it solves your resistances, solves your mana costs, solves a lot of things, solves your movement speed and everything. So unfortunately, this is a really expensive build. Starts off with a Mage Blood. If you don't have this, then yeah, it's probably going to be a while before you can play this build. Okay, so what is this? It's a Spark Aurastacker. Okay, I mean, aura stacking has been a while. I mean, has been out for like a really long time, since like Delirium or something. But yes, I've just never played a version like this with this much damage. Okay, I will go through the gear and the skill tree. You need to be 100 to get the full benefit of this. Like all aura stackers, skill points are very important. So you need every single point you can get. Like just missing any of these leads to like 10 mil loss, like 15 million DPS loss. It is quite important to have every single piece, so that's another thing. It needs to be level 100. Alright, so we begin with the gear. Everything here is pretty much min-maxed. It's not completely min-maxed, of course, but it's just that I don't feel like investing any more currency into the build when it's already, you know, cleared content so quick that there's really no point to get that additional 2 billion DPS or like 5 million DPS. Okay, we have Annihilating Light. So it's pretty standard for, you know, damage elemental builds. So deals triple damage with elemental skills, but the downside is that you have reduced elemental resistances, which is why you need Mage Blood in order to counteract the resistance loss, considering that most of our gear slots are actually uniques. Okay, we also have 30 quality from Hillock, and we also have an enchant that gives elemental damage but 2% quality for just a little bit more elemental damage. Okay, for our helmet, okay, let's go through the rings first. So first off, we are converting the lightning damage from Spark into cold damage using Call of the Brotherhoods. So you need to catalyze these with Turbulent Catalyst to reach 48% lightning damage converted to cold. So we have two of these rings. The enchant, okay, not the enchant, the implicit. Ideally, if you can, get one with 21 Hatred or Zealotry. And the other can be anything that you want. It could be like cold damage to spells, hatred effect, things like that. I went for resistances because, as you can see, I am still not really capped on cold res, but it doesn't matter. I mean, if everything dies in one hit, you don't need resistances. Okay, so with that, we have to get Heat Shiver so that we gain cold damage as extra fire damage per 1% chill effect on enemies. You're pretty much always going to be hitting chill cap, even on big bosses. And you get 100% cold as extra fire against frozen enemies, so every other mob that's not like an uber boss will get frozen, but most likely they will die on that first hit. So this usually just applies to Sanctum, where usually it takes, I think, 2 ticks of like Spark in order to one-shot them. Could be wrong, I feel like it is just one Spark touches them and they die, but you know. Okay, so Spark fires 3 additional projectiles, that's standard. We need more projectiles for more damage to fill the arena, things like that. Okay, for our chest is actually a pretty easy chest. We have 10% increased mana reservation efficiency of skills. So we use deafening essence of loathing in order to craft this chest. I also have fractured life on it, to have at least more than 1000 life. Our implicits, we have Wrath effect and increased effect of non-cursed auras. So we are stacking Wrath effect, which I'll go on to talk about later, in order to get a bulk of our damage. Yep. Okay. So what else? We have covered those. Next, of course, we have Ashes of the Stars. It's pretty standard. We need the reservation efficiency. So in the ideal world, it'll be a 20 reservation efficiency, but that's really expensive. So I would get like a 1830 quality to skill gems or like 1930. That's already good enough because we do have tattoos in order to fill those gaps. If you're missing like some reservation efficiency, you can get it on tattoos. If you're missing some aura effect, you can get it on tattoos as well. So that's the part that is quite variable and you can just, tweak it to whatever you need. Okay, so we are scaling alternate qualities as well, for sure, which I'll go through later on. For our gloves, we are using a 7-link gloves, so slower projectiles is not good for the build because you want more projectiles so that they essentially bounce back and hit the same target again. So having slower projectiles in your glove may give you more tooltip DPS or more PoB DPS, but in reality, are you really getting more DPS though? Yep, so most people you see on like the leaderboards are probably using slower projectile gloves. So it seems like they're having more DPS, but you just have to try it out and you will know what it means when you have slow projectiles. It just doesn't really feel as good and probably does lead to lower DPS actually. So in order to craft these gloves, you will use either Deafening Essence of Horror, or you will use fossil combination of glyphic, death, and Aetheric fossils in order to get the suffixes done. So you want this 3.5% crit strike chance for socketed gems. Ideally, you want T1 faster casting, but it doesn't really matter. And crit multi. So if you want like a tutorial on how to craft these gloves, you probably can find some on YouTube. But yeah, the way I did it was Glyphic, Aetheric, Death fossils. You will roll until you get faster casting, crit strike chance. You will lock your suffixes, reforge caster, and pray that you hit T1 crit multi. Afterwards, you will lock your suffix, reforge speed to hit T1 faster projectiles, and then you can either Ice Link for the last one, but I just crafted +1 projectiles and projectiles pierce, just for a safe craft. Like I made this quite early on, and I don't really feel like changing this anymore, so this is where it is. Alright, so next we have March of the Legion. So we have a +1 socketed gems enchant, not enchant, corrupt on this. Ideally you want a +1 socketed gems, +2 duration or aura gems, but those are really expensive. The main thing is that I am looking out for movement speed and resistances to try and cap your resist. Yeah, I prefer having that 30% movement speed over, like having 2 mil, 5 mil more damage when you're already destroying everything. I think the movement speed is just way better to have, especially if you're clearing content like Sanctums and you want to be as fast as possible. You can also get a adds 1 to 160 lightning damage if you haven't killed recently, so this mostly applies to bosses, and it does add a few million DPS as well. It's pretty good. Okay, now that the gear itself is done, I will talk about the gem links. So you can probably just look at the POB, but I'll just go through the gems real quick. So we have Anomalous Malevolence. So again, because we are scaling alternate quality with with Ashes of the Stars, we want as many Divergent or alt quality gems as possible. So first we have Malevolence. Malevolence makes your Spark last faster. It makes your Wrath last longer as well. So yep, we have increased skill effect duration. We have Divergent Haste, which gives you increased projectile speed. We have a level 4 Enlighten for reservation. Determination, you could probably get an alt quality for this. I just haven't bothered to. We have Anomalous Zealotry, which gives you crit multi. We have just Petrified Blood. Once again, you can probably find alt qualities for these. I just have been kind of lazy and didn't want to change much. But min-maxing it to the max is definitely a thing you can do. For gloves, you're using a Divergent Spark. We need Divergent to fire more projectiles. So as you can see, it's pretty insane. We are now firing 12 additional projectiles from Divergent Spark. So that's really nice. We have Anomalous Spell Echo support. So the reason why we don't use Awakened Spell Echo is because, the double damage doesn't matter if you are already doing triple damage. Like it is it overrides the double damage you can get from Awakened Spell Echo. So you just use Anomalous Spell Echo and, you know, get more cast speed on that. We have Anomalous Inspiration for some additional crit strike chance. Doesn't really matter. I think you will still be crit cap even without this, but yep. We have also increased crit damage support. It's just more damage. For our helmet, we have Divergent Righteous Fire. So we scale the buff grants increased spell damage. We link it to Enhance. And also my movement skill is in here. So Flame Dash with Second Wind support is also in here. If you don't have a Hatred Ring, you can just put Hatred in here. And you know, that's where you will put it. For our body armor, we have Divergent Precision. So this gives you increased damage. Enhanced support for all quality gems, because this is the one. Anomalous Blood and Sand is essentially carrying our projectile speed. So this Anomalous Blood and Sand alone gives 74% increased projectile speed while in Sand stance. So there is a lot of free projectile speed from there. We have Divergent Vitality, so increased damage while on full life. We have Sniper's Mark. Usually they won't last long enough for you to cast Sniper's Mark, but if you do, then this is a lot more damage as well. I just realized, yeah, I could get a 21-20 Sniper's Mark as well. I forgot about that. Yep. Okay, for our boots setup, we have Divergent Inspiration. So we need Divergent in order to lower the mana cost of Wrath. You will see later. So on its own, March of the Legion already gives you level 25 Divine Blessing, which on its own Divine Blessing gives you more increased aura effect. That's why we want our Wrath aura, which is the main aura that is giving us our damage in our boots. Okay, we have Empower Support for more levels on our Wrath. We have Phantasmal Smite. So Phantasmal Smite gives you increased cast speed from the alternate quality. So that is really nice because cast speed just makes the build feel a lot more, like a lot smoother to play. Okay, and the star of the show, we have Anomalous Wrath, which has an increased aura effect from the anomalous quality. So Wrath gives us a lot of damage. You need to cast it every like 25 seconds. Because of Malevolence, it lasts pretty long time. So if you're doing Sanctums, you only need to cast it once per room, and that's about it. Okay, regarding flasks, we have, this is my own setup, Quicksilver, Bismuth, Diamond, and Onslaught Flask, with the suffixes being Elemental Resistances, Reduce Mana Cost of Skills, Increase Movement Speed, and Cast Speed. I think this is the best combination that you could have, but you know, if you need to settle different things, if you want to get, you know, other stuff, then feel free to change them as you like. Alright, and then of course we have Bottled Faith. Once again, not min-max. Mine is only a 9% increased damage taken. You could definitely get 10% and, you know, you would do more damage. Slightly more damage. Just a little bit. Okay, on to the interesting part, the skill tree. Okay, skill tree, you pretty much just have to copy this. You can't really tweak anything here. I think everything is as min-maxed already as you can get here. Every single skill point is very important. Alright, let's just talk about certain aspects of it. So we are using 4 different introspection jewels. You can get a 35% increased effect with introspection, but I don't think you really need that. If you manage to get 35% increased effect with introspection, you could probably fit in another aura instead of a second wind, maybe like Herald of Ice or Herald of Thunder, something along those lines, but you know what, those jewels are expensive and I don't want to do that. So to craft these, you literally just alt spam and regal and you pray for the best. That's it. There's no guaranteed way to craft this. It's just very painful to craft. The other thing is that you need to get stats on this build. It's quite hard to get stats, especially like strength, dex. Unironically, strength and dex are hard to come by. You know, considering that we are an inquisitor, I did not expect to struggle to find strength so much because we are pathing like a little bit weirdly for an inquisitor. So yeah, we have 4 repeater streamline for just more projectile speed. You know, more projectile speed is always good. And yes, we have large cluster jewels with prismatic heart, snowstorm, widespread destruction. The main nodes is snowstorm. Snowstorm gives you insane damage because you gain 8% of lightning as extra cold against chilled enemies, and enemies are always chilled because we convert all our damage to cold with Call of the Brotherhoods. Okay, I don't think there's too much to talk about. We have this Militant Faith with reduced mana cost of skills, per 10 devotion, and also increased effect of non-cursed auras. The main thing to take note of is you don't want it to break Potency of Will, so you need to find one that doesn't replace this node specifically. That's about it. Shouldn't be too expensive, probably 1 divine or so. And we have an Unnatural Instinct. So if you place it here, as you can see, it's giving us 85 devotion, some movement speed, projectile damage, things like that. It's just a nice, combination here. Alright, we have a Intuitive Leap in order to save 2 skill points because every single skill point matters. We have, again, another setup similar to the one above, just that we have Disorienting Display and Snowstorm. This section here is really good because we get 3 additional pierce and more projectile speed, which is why we path down here in order to get this section. Okay, lastly, we have an Impossible Escape with CI, just so that we can get the reservation efficiency and effect of non-curse auras up here. So we are taking every single possible reservation, like mastery you have here. Not mastery, but I guess you would call it a cluster, like sovereignty. This one here, champion of the cause is anointed, and charisma is over here. So yeah, level 100 is required for this build. Very, very important in order to maximize the amount of damage you can get. I think that is pretty much everything that I have to talk about the build. If you have any more questions, you can just, leave a comment or drop by the stream and I'll answer it to the best of my abilities. And no, you cannot do this on like a 10 divine budget. Like I said, Mage Blood is the bare minimum in order to start this build. Okay, I think with that, we've come to the end of the video. Hope you've enjoyed that and see you in the next one. Bye bye.